Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of the weekly Poker Showdown brought to you by Party Poker. I am your host Jaime Staples and we have a great episode this week. I just had a nice conversation this afternoon with Henri Bühler. A lot of you will know him as Buehlero, a longtime streamer on Twitch, been a colleague of mine for a long time in the listing. We talk about his starting in poker, how he got into it, how he progressed through the game, and how he managed to hit a $250,000 score this summer in Las Vegas. So pretty amazing journey. We talk a little bit about Twitch poker, some of the gossip going on in poker this week. So if you like any of that sort of stuff, I think you're going to like this conversation. But before we get to that, let's talk about some of the online results from this past weekend. So there's one main story that I want to highlight from this past Sunday, and it's a player I've played with a long time in my poker career, Andres Nemeth. I didn't know his real name because I've always known him as Probirs, Probirs online. So this is a guy I've played with a ton. He managed to win a huge over 600,000 on Sunday, which is crazy because normally the tournaments aren't even big enough to where you can win 600,000. But the high stakes action has really been kicking off online, and he managed to scoop up some of those results. So first off, he won a $2,100 high roller over at PokerStars. So that was for $41,000. Which is pretty good. But then there's been these $25,000 tournaments going on Natural 8 and GG Poker, and he managed to take down one of these $25,000 buy-ins for $412,000. We talk about this a little bit in the conversation with Buehlero later today. These tournaments that have been running every hour, it's really crazy the high stakes poker action that's happening. So if you're a fan of poker, a pretty fun story to follow. So yeah, he managed to win one of those 25Ks. Another player, Sasuke Yu Chicha from Canada, won another one of those for $477,000. Now, we don't really know who the screen names are unless it's sort of disclosed by them. So, we're not really sure who these players are or, if they're tied to their screen names or not. But safe to say the action has been pretty crazy. So a big congrats to Probirs on an amazing weekend this past Sunday. The last thing I want to touch on before we jump into the interview is some of the news going on in Party Poker this week. So there's a new software update coming this week. I'm not sure what day this is released, but it's coming up to you soon. And it's really cool. So one of the things is Bubble Chat is coming. This is already live on the Mac client, but if you're playing on desktop, you're going to be able to see Bubble Chat when people speak, which is amazing because I often miss that myself. So that's really cool. The second thing is Showdown percentage. So when players will now see the percentage chance they have of winning the hand when all in, which I love to see if I've made a huge error. I love it. My stream loves it as well. So I'm sure everyone can get behind this idea. I think it's a lot of fun, and I'm excited that it is now on Party Poker. Now, a huge event is coming up this week. Two huge events I want to cover. The first one is for absolutely everyone, and that is the Party Poker Million event. It's a $1 million buy-in, or $1 million guarantee with a $215 buy-in happening on Party Poker. Now, obviously, that's a huge amount of players for this site, right? So there's 4 day ones. You have 4 chances. The first one is the 27th, this Sunday. The next one is Tuesday of that week. The third one is Thursday. And then the final one is the following Sunday. Now, the times that these start is 8 p.m. UK, except for the fourth flight, the day D. That starts, let me just see it here, 3 p.m. UK. So it starts relatively early in the day so that you can play both the, day 1D as well as the day 2 and get the tournament done all in one day. So there's 4 chances to play day 1. It's just a freeze out. It's not a knockout tournament. It's just a conventional format tournament. And the goal is actually to have day 2 finish at a reasonable time so you're not still playing poker at 9 in the morning when a lot of people are driving to work. So get it done at a reasonable time. And that's sort of the plan with this structure. So pretty amazing. $1 million guarantee, $215 buy-in. You definitely don't want to miss this. Now, for those of you that are fans of my channel or Twitch in general, you follow Party Poker Team online, you know we have these home games once a week, right? Ranging in buy-ins from $3 to $5. Now, one of the prizes for these home games is you get a free roll ticket, and all you have to do is play one of these home games. And if you get a free roll ticket, you're going to get to play for a Millions event entry as well as expenses. Well, our qualifier this week for the Caribbean Poker Party. Massive package, right? $10,000 buy-in plus expenses for your flight and hotel. That free roll is this Saturday, 8 p.m. UK. It's starting at the same time as the Twitch Open is. But if you have played any of the home games over the last several months, if you played any of my home games, you want to show up on Saturday because it's a pretty big free roll. So best of luck in that. You still have a few days to play one of those home games and then get into the tournament. So if you're interested in that, you can check that out. That's it for the Party Poker News. Without further ado, let's get into the Buehlero interview. Joining me today, I have Henri Bühler. Henri,
what up?
Thank you very much for coming on the show. I appreciate it. How did I do with your last name, Buehlero? 1 to
Pretty
10.
good. I mean, I'm not really sure at this point anymore because, I mean, my last name is Bühler, but because I made my Twitch name pretty much the same, I've heard so many different versions of it, like Buehlero, then every Canadian constantly mentions Ferris Bueller's Days Off. I still haven't seen that movie, by the way, but like I hear that a lot. I'm not sure how to say my Twitch name anymore, so it's like whatever. If you want to call me Buehlero because those are the same letters, then go for that. It's also fine.
Yeah, Blue Hero is definitely where I started, I think, with you, and then it evolved from there. I did ask you about Ferris Bueller's Day Off, sort of in the lead up to this conversation we're having. So I guess I'm a token Canadian at this point. No, it's really great to have you on the show, and thanks for taking the time to do it. You know, someone that's been around the Twitch streets for quite a while, actually. I think you could consider yourself one of the veterans of the platform. Been on there for a while. So if you could talk a little bit about, what has your poker journey been? When did you get into poker and why? And then how did you find from that start to starting up on Twitch?
Sure. I think I have like a different background than most people because I discovered Twitch before I discovered poker. I guess. No, that's not quite true. I played poker as like a 10-year-old with friends, that's when it came up for the first time, and I played a little bit. And then like when I was 16 or so, we met up on the evening on some weekend or so and played a bit, and I won a few times, obviously just getting lucky, being like terrible at the game. And somebody mentioned that he has a friend that plays online and makes a bit of money. So I was like, hey, this sounds fucking amazing. Let's try this. So back then I started playing poker for the first time and just lost money because I was recreational, and I was just playing like random stuff, like $30 spins or so. Also smaller, but then, DJing it up a little bit. So I pretty much had a bad start into poker where I lost like $1,000 or so, which was a bunch of money back in the days. Like I was working, I finished school when I was like 18 or 17 actually. Then I started working in a bar or in a pub for a while. And I mean, it was a restaurant with a bar in it. And, just played poker on the side and then stopped for a while, traveled, then got back home. I spent 6 months in Canada and then I wanted to start studying economics just because, I was like, it's time to study something, do something. Yes. And it was like, I was 5 days in and I'm like, yeah, this is not happening. It didn't take very long.
Similar stories, man. This is amazing. So like you're into poker. You have a start, it's like whatever, you get some job that's like whatever, and then you kind of float, and then you go to school and it's whatever, and then it just happens, bro. How does everyone have this story? I love it.
I know, for me it was like, I finished school, then I wanted to work because I wanted to travel and I needed money, right? Like my parents aren't paying for it or so. Yeah. So it was like pretty precise when it came to that, and then I was like, okay, let's travel for 6 months, then come back home, and then the new university year starts and I can study. But I don't know, it's just like, I didn't like school very much either. Like I was good, I would say. I had good grades, but I skipped a lot of school, just never really enjoyed it. It was like the same with university. I'm like, man, I can't. Like I just don't want to sit down and just listen to people talk, and I want to do something. And so I was like, okay, I don't really know what I want to do. But back then I was always watching Twitch. Like I've been watching Twitch for years. Back then, like even owned TV, like owned 3D TV that doesn't exist anymore, but that's where people used to broadcast. I was watching StarCraft 2 for forever, like all the competitive matches still watch. So actually,
how many years ago is this, by the way?
This is like 7 years ago when I discovered it. Like so just a live streaming scene, and eventually I was going through Twitch and saw Jay Carver stream actually, and I'm like, man, you're allowed to stream poker. This is the sickest. And then he was playing like the 1K Thrill or something, and it's like, my mind just exploded. You could see a professional play, and he actually explains his thoughts. You know, he's like, "Oh, we're getting good pot odds. The big blind here can defend." It's like, man, this is fucking amazing. So this was like, while I was in Canada, I kind of discovered that, I think. And so I was watching streams a bit while traveling, also playing poker occasionally, but still like just not winning because I wasn't good. And so by the time I came into university and realized, man, it's just not working out for me. I'm like, man, let's give poker a real shot. Okay, I heard about bankroll management now. I heard about studying. And I love Twitch. Like, I've always watched streams. It seems kind of natural to also fire up a stream myself. And while I go on this journey to grind it up and really give this a shot, because university is clearly not for me, I might as well, do it right. So I had back then I had 1,500 euros left in my account or something, like bank account, not poker account, and just bought a good computer, another screen, a mic, camera, all of the setup. And then just started with a $100 bankroll. That was back in January 2016. So I just played $1 sit and goes on stream and 55-cent tournaments. There's some old highlights which are ridiculous.
Yeah.
And
we're gonna get to some more current highlights as well. It's gone okay.
Yeah, it's gone okay.
It's gone fine. I
but
think
yeah,
that's
just
super interesting, man. Like the sort of thought process of let's give it a real shot. I see a real correlation because I ask people, and they tend to have that sort of waffling, I'm not sure, play on the side. And then there's a moment where it kind of switches on for almost everyone I've talked to. And it's definitely true of me. And I find it curious that it's true of you as well, that you decided to give it a serious shot after a while of just playing on the side.
Yeah. I mean, I was like, this is the only way it works, when you're just fully investing it. And I haven't really hammed. I just streamed every day, grinded every day, just studied when I wasn't streaming and did that for a few months. Got my first sponsorship with Poker Market back in the days, if you remember that.
Right.
And
yeah, of course.
Poker Market days. And and then just got partnered, and that was a few months in, 3 months or so. And that's when I told my parents about it as well, because I was obviously scared at first. And then I had something to show them, hey, there's actually a bit of money coming on, this has potential. And they were like, sure, give it a shot for a few months and we see where you land. And yeah, 6 months later,
it was cautiously optimistic.
I just said that I want to try this now. I'm 19 years old. This is my opportunity to try something. I don't want to study something, be in a job, and then wonder, hey, what would have happened if I've done it back then? I was 19. You can just make mistakes, even if you're 30. Rather do the mistake now than always wondering if you should have done it, I think. So I just went for it and kind of argued in that way and just said, give me 6 months and we see where I stand. And then a few months later, it was clear that, oh shit, this has a lot of potential. This is not going any other way.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. That's very cool. And then, so over the last couple of years, your poker career and stream has gone pretty well. Something that stands out this summer, you had a pretty big score. What was the result this summer?
In Vegas, I won 250K. Got second in a $3,500 tournament at the Venetian.
Right.
It was great.
Yeah, that's a good summer, man.
It was good stuff. Yeah. First summer in Vegas. Yeah.
That's okay.
It was amazing. Good. That was just an insane run.
Yeah, especially in 3 years too. That's a relatively short amount of time, and I think, I know you surround yourself with really great and successful players as well. So it makes sense to me that you've sort of gotten to where you've got to with your work ethic and your stream. So pretty interesting story, man. So was there a turning point, after you started playing with your $1,500? In your new setup, was there a turning point where it kind of became a reality in your mind that you might be able to access sort of the upper echelons of the game?
I don't think so, to be honest. For me, it was such a steady progress. I'd never had a big score until the summer in Vegas. A huge score, I want to say. So many people, they win the Sunday Million, and then they're like, oh man, I should go pro. And then they proceed to lose all that money because they're not good and just got lucky. And then they're like, oh shit, okay, I have to approach this game differently. But for me, it was in the beginning, it was $100 there, $100 there, then 2,000 there, 2,000 there, then 5K there, 10K there. Oh my God, then I got deep in the milli, cash for 30,000, insane for me back then. And that's followed up by a few 20K scores, 25K scores. So it's just such a slow process that at no point there was like this one turning point. It was just always like a bit more there, and that's kind of how it went through. So by the time I went to Vegas, I already had enough of a bankroll built up, and like there was just like this score doesn't really change much for me now. I mean, it's super nice. It's a shit ton of money, and it's obviously more freedom and just a bit more relaxed in general. But it feels fucking amazing to have that big score that it's really tough to get. But it wasn't something that I was always like working towards or so. It's just kind of the slow grind. That's where I'm at, and a score like that is part of that, and that's nice. And yeah,
right. Okay, that leads me to a question, because it's something I talk about a little bit on my stream, and I'm curious on your take on this, because I think, when you get into poker, at least for me, money was super exciting. Like winning $1,000, I was like, oh my God, let's go. Like I'm hitting the town. Like this is the best. Right? And then that disappears at some point when you start to like cover, the freedom to sort of travel and food and rent and all that. And like when that's covered for sure, that motivation disappears. And so for me, I went through like a phase where I really lost a lot of the drive to grind, because I was like, what am I playing for? Like I can't get anything that I can't already get by showing up and working hard. So I had to come up with sort of alternative goals and things to shoot for. So have you had that experience, or is it just me?
And no, 100%.
Yeah? Okay.
I think everybody has that experience.
What are you working towards in poker? Like what's the goal for you?
I don't know. In poker, I always go through different stages. Like at some point, I think about, man, I want to play all the 25Ks, be the sickest. Then I'm like, man, I just want to spend time with my family and my friends. And then it's like, man, I just want to grind Twitch really hard. I'm really enjoying it right now. So for me, I'm always like in a different space, and it's really tough to answer. Like there's times where I just go so ham, where I'm just in the lab every day. And like last month, I've been streaming like 23 days straight during W Coupe and GG series and Powerfest or Bounty series.
I appreciate that, by the way, getting the
getting them in.
No, we like each other. Okay,
we get everyone in there. Yeah, all the great series out there. No, but I just flicked everything and just grinded my ass off, and I really enjoyed it. And I was like, on the final day when I was done and also won big there, I was just like, okay, now I'm out, and then I went on vacation. Like, I shipped the 5:30 bounty on like the last Sunday of the series at 6 a.m. and left for the airport I've shipped it at 8 a.m., went for the airport at 10 a.m. and just visited my parents, and we went on holiday together, It's
amazing.
So I'm quite polarized when it comes to that stuff. Like either I'm working really hard or I'm just taking more time off. And I don't, like in the past I always had goals, like I want to reach that limit or so, and now I just really enjoy the grind when I'm in the mood to grind. But if I'm not in the mood, then I'm just not doing it. Then I'm just like, okay, I will take some time off, and then I spend time with friends, family, and then I already feel, oh shit, I want to go back on the grind and win. I think, like, obviously the money isn't as important anymore because it just doesn't matter that much, but for me still, I love winning so much. Like finishing second in Vegas, like didn't feel nearly as good as winning like a smaller tournament, online a few weeks later. So I really just like to win, because then you have like this complete feeling, okay, I got the maximum out of this tournament. There's not much, there's nothing more I could have gained. And that's just so satisfying. But yeah, for me, it's just winning, I think. I like trophies.
Yeah. That's very cool. That's sick. Honestly, for me, I think it's been correlated to money. I think I would have been happier about the 250K score. But yeah, I don't know. That's a bit shallow. I think poker needs a bit more. So I want to ask about sort of getting sponsored as well. You're working with Natural 8 now. What was that experience like, and what's it like being a sponsored poker player? Is it different or kind of what you expected?
Yeah, I mean, my first sponsorship was with 888, like just at the start, and it was very different, where I was just like a Twitch streamer that got a bit of money to have a banner up. Yeah. Then like Natural 8 approached me, and it was just like full ambassadorship, like you're the face of the brand, and this is what we want and stuff. And it was really professional and cool in that way, and I absolutely loved it. Like back then I was living in Edinburgh, where you're at now, and because they don't have a license for the UK, I moved for them. I spent time in New Zealand for 6 months so I could play on Natural 8, obviously to hang out with friends as well. But do that. This is the reason I moved to Vienna now. So it's been like a lot of stuff behind the scenes as well, where I have to move to get stuff done. But it's been really nice. Like, they give me all the freedom to kind of develop as a poker player. This is something that's really important to me. I just, like, if I grind, if they say, hey, we want you to stream certain hours a month on Twitch, that's your main target, then it's just like, after 3 months or so, I might feel burnt out. I just want to take time off. I want to play live tournaments. I want to get the different experience. And my entire stream has been about me growing as a poker player and kind of getting on that journey, learning things, making mistakes. And I want to continue doing that. So when I took a month off streaming to just grind in Vegas, which doesn't have that much value for the brand, right? Like, US players are not allowed to play on the site, obviously.
I think that's a big myth as well. Like, a lot of people think of sponsorship as like, oh, going to play the main event. You know, I can tell you in my sponsorships, like, there hasn't been a lot of value in going to do that. You know, the
if
whole
you ship
industry has changed. It's not getting a patch on someone on ESPN. That's not it. So
I mean, if you ship it, I think there's definitely some value there, but that's pretty unlikely to happen. So that's obviously on the content side of things, but they've been pretty free with that, and that's been amazing that I can still just kind of develop and get these different experiences, and it just makes me happy overall, because then when I stream, it's just a lot of fun. I'm super excited for it, and it's just better. But it's been really cool. Like, I like it. You also, I have a bit of a saying of what's going on. I can talk to some people, and I don't know, I just like everybody that works there. I like the entire ambassador team, so it's been pretty cool.
Yeah, that's great, man. No, I think selfishly, it was cool to see sort of Natural 8 support some of the Twitch community. Obviously, we've seen Party Poker in the last 12 months particularly really pick it up on Twitch. So it's a really good time for those of us that are interested in creating poker content, that we have more competition out there than just like the main leading site investing in poker content. So
it's nice. Like, in the past, it was just like, oh, you're this Twitch guy, nobody cares about you. And now everybody looks for the new Twitch guy,
Yeah.
It's nice to be recognized in that way, that's where the value is, and that the work you put in is appreciated.
Absolutely.
I think like what Party did is like amazing. You have such a huge team now. All of my friends are on your team pretty much. So it's all of my Twitch friends. So it's it's good.
Yeah. I think it is good. We need more streamers though. We need more people to pick up the practice. It's a difficult thing to do. I'm sure you can attest, but the demand is certainly there for big poker content creators. So
Lex has been crushing it. There's new people coming in. People are trying new stuff as well. It's cool to see. What you did now with the card replay being displayed, or like the current cards that you have on all your tables, people having the opportunity to sweat a bit more and follow all the action, like, that's amazing. Tools like this is just golden. People, some of the other streamers have stopped showing the HUD on stream, so it looks cleaner, it's nicer, it's more approachable for people. I'm just somebody, I really enjoy following those changes and kind of paying attention to everything. My stream has always been more on the strategy side. Like, I grind and I stream, I grind, and this is the struggles I face and stuff. But just what people do to make it more entertaining and just more approachable for normal people that are not looking for like a super hardcore grinder stream. It's amazing. Like, it's good.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. Okay. So I wanted to get into a little bit more. Can I touch on your travel first before we talk about some of the current stuff going on in poker? Because, you've moved like 4 or 5 times this year, right? Like, you've been all over the place. So what are some highlights of that?
Highlights are coming home. You never appreciate your home enough, like, as much as when you've just been on the road for too long and then you just hit your own bed. Everything is set, and it's just amazing. But it's been cool, but it's been very exhausting. Like, moving with an entire setup and streaming on a temporary setup is so exhausting. I don't know. Like, I've just been traveling heaps. It just comes with playing live tournaments, and then the entire tax situation. Like, I can't grind in Germany because the taxes just wreck you and would be so much extra work. So I relocated now to Austria. I was living in the UK before, and New Zealand as well. And it's been fun. Right now, for the first time since I started streaming, I live on my own, which is very different to living with people.
Right.
So I think I will probably move soon again, because I really like living with people. So I might organize some stuff. But But yeah, I
posted a
don't know.
tweet about that the other day. My fiance and my brother were on a trip to Budapest for like 2 days. I didn't want to go. I just wanted to work. So they went, and like when my stream was done, I didn't say a word until my stream started the next day. For like 16 hours, I was living in silence. Like nothing was said.
Yeah,
And that has not happened for me for years, dude. It's such a weird thing.
yeah. It's something I wasn't fully aware until I lived on my own, that there is just downtime and that you always have to bring the initiative, which is much harder. When you live with people, you're like, hey, you want to grab a bite? I know you haven't eaten today, and then you just go out and have food and chat, or you just meet randomly in the living room on a coffee and so. But when you're alone, you just have to look up, like you have to constantly approach people, which is something that I haven't done that much in the past. So now I'm just here, hey, you want to meet up? And, I set up stuff, I do sports with other people, but I've always had to have the initiative on it, and you kind of have to push it as well, which is, a new challenge, but yeah. I don't know, for traveling overall,
Favorite spot for vacation and for living?
for living, Vienna is amazing, but I really liked Edinburgh because Dom knows all the amazing restaurants there. So I went to all of them, and I just love the food. Vienna just has amazing. You lived in Vienna. You know how Vienna is.
I love Vienna. It's
Vienna is
amazing.
unreal. How sick is Vienna?
My number one.
Yeah,
For sure.
Vienna is like the number one for me now. It's just, especially in the summer, like all the coffee places, everybody chills outside. It's such a like colorful living city where there's constantly stuff happening. There's art,
together as well,
history.
dude. That's what I love. It's like got it together, It's not sloppy. It's like it's on point,
How do they manage all this stuff?
Yeah.
Like when I go to Berlin, there's just like garbage everywhere,
Yeah, it's grungy and like hardcore and metal in Berlin.
Yeah, Berlin is a
different.
fight, and
Vienna's like the posh, like put together, like grown up version of Berlin.
But you can even find some nice corners here that are like very independent, or some good nightclubs, stuff like that. Not the high end stuff, stuff that's more a bit rougher and cool, I think. So it also has that aspect, which is like a nice combination. You have all the, oh, it looks amazing here, and here's another sick building, oh, another sick building, another church, holy shit. But it also has like some really nice and like cool hipster areas, I would call them.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's definitely amazing. I really liked New Zealand as a country. Like the countryside is beautiful, but the cities are just very different to Europe. It's just more practical cities. There's a gas station there and a couple of restaurants, but it doesn't have this vibe that I have in a European city.
Right. Yeah. Cool.
And what's your favorite spot?
I like them all for different things, dude. I think New York City would be my favorite.
Oh, interesting.
City, but I obviously can't work there.
Yeah.
So London or Barcelona or Vienna, one of the three. But they're all different. They have their own culture. They inject on the same sort of main feeling of big city action.
I think those three have all like similar like quality of living. It seems like similar, yeah.
Vacation would probably be Split, Croatia.
I still haven't been to Croatia. It looks so amazing, and I think I would love it, but I just never managed to go. But it's on my list. This is also the reason I want to live in Vienna, so I can explore Europe a bit more. Because even though I'm European, I've never been to Spain or Portugal. I've never been to like Greece, Croatia, but I've been to like Canada. I've been to Alaska or other parts of the US. I've been to Hong Kong, Macau, New Zealand, Australia. But I'm like, fuck, man, Europe is so nice and close, and I just haven't discovered that much. It's such a mistake on my end, so I'm catching up to that a bit more.
You can just go on a Wednesday, catch a train.
Yeah.
Why not?
I want to combine it a bit with live poker tournaments as well, but usually I just end up grinding my ass off and not discovering much. It's tough.
See, that's the thing. I used to be on the grind in my previous sponsorship. I would go to a lot of events. And it was just like, I didn't do anything there that wasn't poker because you're just busy, So I always wanted to make a plan of like, I'll go 5 days early, I'll take a proper vacation, and then I'll play the series, But I never did. I just never did it.
Yeah, it's the same for me. Like when I was in Vegas, Vegas is not the place that I would ever go to on vacation. I'm very much like countryside hiking, more like that, But even then, like I took one day off after my bink, and then one day for a house party, and grinded 30 days just straight tournament, and
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. But yeah, I don't know. I just like to grind as well. So that's good.
Yeah. Okay, so we talk a little bit about some of the current events in the show. I'll just present them. We can get some thoughts on it, and then we're also going to go over a hand. So, first thing I wanted to hit up. This is some poker gossip of the week. It's a very touchy subject, but you know, a photo has gone out from the Battle of Malta ladies event. Let me just get it. Baltic Blonde on Twitter tweeted out a photo saying, "I'm not really sure how." At CM Poker at Battle of Malta think this is an acceptable gimmick for a ladies event. I like most of the ladies here find this demeaning for both the players and the dealers. And the dealer is wearing a, I don't know, I think of like a Chippendales sort of like bow tie,
collar,
you know, and no shirt dealing at this ladies event. So what's your take on this? Because Twitter is in an uproar.
I lost it. I saw it and I'm like, this just can't be real. Like, what are people thinking, man? What are people thinking? I mean, poker is like full of sexism already, and people are behaving like so bad, and then just somebody drops something like that. Like, how like I always feel like we're progressing as a like society and stuff, and then somebody just comes up with such a dumb idea. Like, so insane. If I grind a poker tournament, and I expect to play a normal poker tournament, if I see a half-naked lady sitting there, I'm losing it. I'm like, this is so awkward. You know, she's dealing the cards. Like, where am I even looking at? Like, this is such an uncomfortable situation for everyone involved. Like, how do you come up with that? And I mean, in the picture, the guy is like a bit older. You know, it's not like some specially signed, I don't know, stripper or something, right?
Yeah.
And even that would just not be correct at all to do that. You know, it's so awkward and random. If you do like a special event for, I don't know, before you get married, you know, like, okay, but then you book that. But if you go into, if I ever see something like that in a casino, I'm just like, never going there again. What the fuck?
Like, I really didn't, my first thought was not like immediate outrage. I was just like, I didn't understand why. I was just like, why is this happening, you know? Like, a lot of people were really upset, and I'm with you too, where it's just like, I can imagine a time and a place where this could be funny or appropriate, right? Like a bachelor party or a bachelorette party or a stag or stagette or whatever it's called, wherever you're from, right? So like, I can almost picture what whoever made this decision was thinking of, like, oh, this will be funny. But, you know, I think what they super missed is just like, this is a ladies event, and ladies event are not bachelorette parties. Like, they're human beings, and this is a poker tournament, you know? Like, I don't know what this person has in their mind in terms of like what women are thinking about all the time, but it's not a 24/7 bachelorette party every time they get together. They want to play a poker tournament.
I just would love to see the face when you buy into that tournament and then you arrive at your seat, you're about to sit down as a woman, and you see somebody sitting their shirt, and you're like, what the fuck, floor, please? Like, what the fuck is going on here? What did I sign up for? Like, imagine you have a friend and you're like, hey, I'm in the casino right now playing a tournament. You can stop by, we can chat a bit. And she sees you sitting there with like a topless guy, and she's like, what the fuck is going on in this casino? Who comes up with this stuff?
I don't know, man.
So insane. That was like such a random move that I would never expect anywhere, that I lost it immediately. Like, I saw it and it was like immediate outrage for me. I'm like, what the fuck?
I think I understand what the person who made this decision was thinking. Like, they're so far off, but like, I can understand the inspiration. Like, they have some sort of like 1990s movie where it's a scene where the girls are going wild and it's a bachelorette party and they're about to get married. And this person thinks that is always all the time. Like I think I can empathize. I feel bad for everyone here, dude. I feel bad for the ladies playing the event, obviously, in that like they wanted to play poker and instead they had to sit around uncomfortably. Yeah. I feel bad for the dealers. God. They're taking heat, just sitting there, you know, just like topless, no one's laughing. They're basically bombing. They're not stand-up comedians, but they're bombing for a whole tournament. And then I feel bad for the guy that thought this was a good idea, because you got to perpetually live in shame for the rest of time now.
Yeah, I mean, it's good that way, I guess. Yeah. Honestly, like, I don't think anybody was laughing there. I think the atmosphere at the table must just be the worst. Maybe people thought it was so obscure and so insane to do it that it was hilarious again. So actually, I could see it now that I think a bit more about it. People just like, what the fuck, and losing at a table. Like, this can't be real. What are they doing?
I feel bad, man. I don't know. It's obviously like it's divisive as well. You know, there's going to be people on the spectrum of like, this is absolutely disgusting and horrible. And then there's going to be people that are like, you know, you're soft, and everyone's going to fall on the spectrum. So I was scared to even bring this up, but like, that's my take on it. Hopefully
I honestly think
watch the show.
People are on the side of either this is totally not cool, this is so far off, to just, you know, just a bit off.
Yeah,
I think nobody is like
to indifference. Like,
yeah, like this is what I want. You know, I don't really see anybody actually being excited about this. Like,
right. Yeah.
No.
Bizarre.
Not
poker.
The people that play a local €100 tournament at the casino.
Okay, so the next thing I wanted to bring up, Leon Sukernik, King's Casino fame, owns King's Casino in Czech Republic, Razvedov. Where is it? Czechia now. I don't know what it is officially.
Czech Republic, right?
Czech Republic. I think there was a campaign to change it to Czechia. But
I have no idea.
Leon, we're talking about Leon here. Defeats Phil Ivey, heads up in the 100K buy-in short deck event to take down a title. Rob Young tweeted out a video, and the guy was just smiling ear to ear. Like, you could tell how much it meant to him, which was such a cool thing to see. So what do you think? Have you played at King's Casino?
Yes.
What do you think about Ivey? What do you think about Leon? What's your take?
Ivey is much taller than you think. It's crazy.
He's much taller.
Yeah. Ivey is so tall. I saw him in Vegas this year. He was at a table next to me, and I'm like, man, this guy is fucking tall. Like, he always has great table presence, but he's also like a very tall guy. So that was quite surprising. Honestly, like, that is such a cool achievement. To win heads up against Ivey for a poker tournament must be like the biggest accomplishment that I could feel. Like, obviously, I know there's other people that might be sicker, but in a live tournament, when Ivey sits there and you're shitting your pants because he just has such a sick table presence, to win that obviously comes down to luck as well, right? But I wouldn't fucking care. I beat Ivey heads up. I'm the biggest boss of this fucking planet, you know? I would be smiling ear to ear.
The normal public, to them, you are in an international forever success at that point. There's nothing else you need to achieve. The rest of the world views you as a poker end boss till the end of time if you beat Ivey.
I mean, Ivey is such a legend. I watched the 250K tournament, and Ivey was on the table. I'm like, this is so hype. Like, I really am a person that enjoys high-level poker. I just love watching all the solver guys or just anybody that grinds high stakes. Like, I always love sweating that action, and especially see Ivey in the mix there, who's like, you know, when I was 12 and watched the WCP on the TV or so, and you see Ivey, it's just the sickest of like ever. You know, Ivey is just for me like a hero, and that's fucking amazing. Yeah, Leon wins it, man. I'm jealous on that one, honestly. I do feel jealousy quite often, but that is one where I'm like, fuck off, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. I have only met Leon once, and it was at an event at his casino. I was playing like a 1K there for the day when I was living in Vienna, actually. And I busted like very quickly, and I went to the players' party, and I got super bombed, and then I met Leon. And I was wasted, and my bosses at the time were like, you know, what about those girls up there? This was back when I was working for another company. I was like, oh yeah, there's these girls dancing on the stage. And he's like, I'll give you this pin if you get up there. And it was like it was a pin. And I was wasted. So I was like, okay. And I went up and I tried to dance with these go-go girls, and they wouldn't let me up because I was just out of my mind. Right. And then Leon came by and he's like, put him up there. And then there was a video on Twitter of me dancing with these girls bombed out of my mind at a player's party.
I want that video.
Yeah, it's out there. I retweeted it like 3 years ago or something. But that's my only Leon experience, was he had the authority to get me up on the stage with the dancing girls. But, you know, obviously I know he's not a poker professional. He's just a casino operator. So I think it's always good when non-poker pros win tournaments. Like, I'm happy for them.
For sure.
Because it's getting harder and harder to do that, man.
Yeah. I mean, Leon is a fun guy. I drank vodka with him once at the King's Casino as well.
Really?
And, yeah, it was just... It was so random. I was at an event there, and I was talking to somebody, and then Will Kassouf comes up, and like Leon as well. Back then, when Will was like really hot, and they were all just drinking, and then we just started chatting and also started drinking. It was kind of random but fun. I mean, Leon is fucking hilarious as well. No, that's fine. Oh, you said something else that I wanted to say something about, but I forgot now.
If I can give some context while you think about it, I have Phil Ivey. I've never spoken to, but I've seen him twice in real life. And I swear to God, my first ever World Series of Poker event. This is like 2013 or 2012 or something like that. $1,500 Millionaire Maker, I think it was, or something like that. First year it happened. So I'm sitting in the main room, which is the Amazon, or is it Brasilia? The main one, the huge one at the World Series, right?
Oh, with the final table in the middle, right?
It's the one.
Wait, you mean the largest room or the one with the final table?
The largest one.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Satellites, and there's the cash games. It's like the first one you see, and it's just huge, you know. It's where they put everything, like the small events and the side events. So this tournament is so big that it overflows into this room. And I'm sitting at a table, you know, and I'm in like the 7th seat or the 8th seat. And then immediately in my sight line, like next table over, like straight through, he's in the 2 or 3 seat is Phil Ivey. Like I have a clear shot 1 table away straight on his face. And he's just looking at me. And I'm in my first World Series of Poker event. I'm like, holy shit.
And
like,
you folded.
We're in the show. I mean, we're not even on the same table. Dude.
Yeah, I know.
I made the show and I was like, I was playing music, you know, movie intros in my head. Like, this is it. This is the dream. We're here. Yeah. That's Ivey.
It's sick. I saw D-Nex as well, but it's just, I didn't care, you know, like D-Nex was like, whatever, but Phil Ivey's just so sick.
D-Nex is approachable, though. That's a difference between him and Ivey. Mm-hmm. He's a boss, but like, you feel like you can be Daniel's friend easily, you know, he's not intimidating.
Yeah, that's true.
Ivey,
Ivey has all the crazy stories as well. Just where he's like, no, you know, that's all he says. Yeah. So it's just like, yeah. Or no, he doesn't even say no. He just gives you the look, like, and then you're like, fuck, I don't know where I'm at, you know. He's just looking at you in a certain way, and it's just like, fucking hell.
Well, maybe Phil Ivey will come on this podcast, the first media, you know, appearance that he's done in like 5 years.
Ivey on a podcast, man. I can't see it.
I can't see it either. I don't think so. The odds are a long shot, but you never know. I'm throwing it out there into the universe. Yeah. Maybe.
I just wonder what Ivey would look like on a podcast, you know? Like, I just don't really see him talking like I'm talking right now, you know? It's just like...
I checked out his masterclass, the one he has
on
the masterclass website.
Yeah.
Daniel's got the course, you know, that of course has all the memes, everything you do at the poker table conveys information.
Yeah.
That's the top line on every Reddit post for poker. Yeah, Phil Ivey has a course there as well. So it was interesting because he opens up a little bit more about, you know, his life, and you know, it's just more than you hear Phil Ivey talk ever. Yeah. So it's interesting.
Yeah, actually, that would be the only reason I would get that, just to hear Ivey talk about things. Like, I don't really care what he says in there. Just listen.
Exactly. That's a tip for you, Ivey. You don't need to release any strategy. Just like talk about your life for 30 minutes, and people will be lining up out the door, dude.
Yeah, sure.
Release an audiobook.
I mean, it's just like there's so much crazy stuff going on. Like, he's getting sued, then he plays a live tournament, the cash is being withheld by the casino, but then he turns up to WCP Europe. It's just, like, it's mad, you know?
It's all over the place. And like, there's so many holes in the story of poker since Black Friday. We had all these end bosses, and then they play in like big private games and games in Asia. And it's just like, there's missing information, and we don't, you know, some people have the answer. You probably have a little bit of the answers that you can't talk about publicly. Everyone has little pieces.
Yeah.
You know, I hear things here or there, like this person's back to this person's crushing it. This person is so rich they never have to work again. Like, but you don't know.
Yeah. I was in Macau last year and just heard some stories about the cash games there and how, like, what you have to do in order to grind them and some of the rules in the game, and it's just insane. Like, I was like, man, I'm still a fanboy when it comes to just high stakes stuff and crazy stories like that. I love listening to this stuff. It's,
Can you talk about the GG, there's been some $25,000 online tournaments running.
Yeah.
On GG Poker, which, to the small group of railbirds that remain in online poker, this is like the dream. So what's going on? Because I'm behind the times.
Okay. So I've been railing a bunch, especially with friends in Discord. I have some friends who are playing these games. It's just there's been a recreational player, a businessman that turned up and just want to play high stakes. And we always had high stakes running on Natural 8, like 5K stayer, 10K stayer. That just had a few runners, but it's just been like the heaven for high stakes pretty much. And eventually they realized, oh my god, these games are always running, and apparently the guy contacted them that he wants to play higher as well. So they created a $25,000 tournament that kicks off every hour. And it's been running like pretty often, and there's just a bunch of people in it. And the thing is, when you play $25,000 online tournaments that run every hour, the swings are just insane. I've seen graphs from people that are up like multiple millions, go on a 1 million downswing, then get that million back again. There's just the sickest graphs ever. And I'm just in there kind of, because everybody has a new name, right? You don't know who everybody is. So we're figuring it out together, sharing it with different friends. And
well, if it's going off once an hour, I mean, you could be in for, 200K in a day.
Yeah, and you can re-enter, unlimited re-entries.
Oh my, you could be in for $500,000 a day.
Somebody has fired 14 bullets and won 25K before. Yeah, it's been insane. That's what I love sweating it. I know some of the guys now, so I'm always rooting for the Austrian guys and some friends of mine. So it's just been fun sweats going on the side, and just insane. Like as I said, I love high stakes action. I love rating everything. I'm pretty aware of my own skill set. I'm not somebody that jumps into random 5Ks online or so. I'm game selecting pretty hard and taking it easy, but
that's neat.
I just love sweating it. It's amazing. It's so much fun, and it's just so ridiculous. Like if I would tell any of my normal friends that are not doing anything with poker that somebody just lost like 500K in a day and the other guy won 2 million over the span of 2 weeks, it's just it's too ridiculous. What is going on?
It's what's interesting, I think people outside the poker world like believe that to be true. Like they can be like, oh yeah, that makes sense that happens. But I find the general public thinks that's so far away. Like it's so far removed. It's like these people that are different species. But when you're in poker, you're just like, oh, that guy just like did really well for a couple of years, and now he's not that different from the rest of us. These players, they're normal humans that are finding themselves in this crazy situation. Like I think the general public puts poker players on a pedestal when you're in it. I just don't I don't think we deserve to be on a pedestal. Poker players. I think we're just very normal, but we've been dedicated to doing one thing a lot, and we found ourselves in this position. So
you kind of fall into it, and suddenly you're in this universe, and there's all this money floating around. There's people lending each other like hundreds of $1,000s, being like, yeah, you will pay me back, but wouldn't lend their own brother like $1,000 because it would just be so ridiculous. It's just it's so surreal, this world that you live in. It's such a crazy bubble. What I love about these 25K games is that because I only started grinding like 4 years ago, I always heard of these crazy old days, where people play cash games online and lost this and this some, and I'm like, man, this is so mad. Like, how's this happening? And when these games kicked off, and I'm like talking to friends and following it, I'm like, man, I'm living in these times right now. It's happening again. I thought this would never happen again, and now I'm getting to see all this action and mad swings. It's just wild.
Yeah, man. No, exactly. Like the old 501K heads up games, where Isildur would just sit, 2 tables with Durr, Ivey, Antonius, and Gus, and it's just gone. Or Hastings, I guess, back then.
Yeah, imagine that would happen now. I would just be on the rail, and I'm like, this is amazing. So for somebody that started late like myself, it's really cool to see the opportunity again.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Also, what's cool on Twitch is that we have some more high stakes guys streaming. I mean, there's been Steffen Sontheimer who streamed like a while back. He streamed some high stakes with Linus at the table as well. So at least that's stuff that's still happening now, or that's happening now, which didn't exist back in the days.
Yeah. So I'm hoping that Twitch poker will evolve to a point where the business model makes sense. I think we've seen we've seen poker become more and more difficult, and we've seen more people rely on creating content to sort of carve their way in a poker career. It still doesn't make a ton of sense for the elites out there, like a goose core, like you said. For him, he's giving up some equity in his strategy for not a ton in return. Even though I think there's more up for grabs than the audience would think there is in terms of like sponsorships and affiliate revenue and stuff. Like you can do quite well streaming. But I'm hoping we can transition to where some of the very best in the game are actually incentivized to create content. I don't know how that's going to happen. It's my dream, like it is in other games where the best are out there and streaming.
Yeah. I mean, we have some, as I said, people tune in occasionally and fire up a stream that it's just minus EV for them, but just for the fun of it. I mean, streaming is a lot of fun. I think, when you're a professional poker player that's been grinding for months, or for years actually, it's tough to still find the motivation. As you said, like the money isn't that much of an incentive anymore, but man, like winning a tournament on stream isn't like the best feeling in the world. When the entire chat explodes, you won the tournament already, you're in heaven, and you wait the 4 minutes for the delay come through, and then just the chat erupts. There's all these messages, everybody's rooting for you, and then just super hyped and stoked about the win. I mean, it's just amazing. So for anybody out there,
streaming might have ruined regular poker for me. Because as you're saying this, I'm trying to think in my head what it'd be like to win a tournament not on stream. And I don't know if I would care. Like it's kind of like the thing if a tree falls in the woods and no one knows it really fall. It's kind of like the same thing with streaming poker tournaments.
Yeah, it's addicting for sure. I've been sick like the last 2 weeks, but it was just my throat, so I just didn't want to stream for 8 hours straight, and still grinded a bit. And I got like second in a tournament for 7K, won a tournament for 5K, and I'm like, okay, let's quickly post this on social media, man. I need some feedback here. But it's just not nearly as much fun. Like when you go to the final table, you have the flips, everybody is sweating it, and just a dirty suck out or a nice bluff gets through, and just like, wow, sick fold, Monka S. It's amazing. Right. That's why I love Twitch. I also love watching people that are on final tables just raining. Especially, that's a cool thing when friends of mine are on final tables. You're already rooting for them, but then you have this cool environment where you hang out with other people watching the action together. And I love that the most. Yeah. So that's probably why winning tournaments on stream just is more fun than that big Vegas score as well, because it's just, it's just money and it's not that hype that you get.
I agree. Okay, so we picked out a hand here. Will you do a hand review with me?
Sure.
Have you ever done any hand reviews a la Doug Polk?
Oh, like that? Actually, yeah, I did. I did like 2.5 years ago on my YouTube channel.
Okay. And do you like the format? How did it go?
I just explained why I folded in a live tournament that I played that was on stream, and my opponent didn't have it.
Right.
So I think that the entire setup wasn't great.
Okay.
But if it's about other people, I think we should be good.
Yeah. So we have a Trickett Paul Newey hand here, which, I mean, that's an English powerhouse if I've ever heard of one. Trickett and Paul Newey. I mean, two legends of the English poker space.
Yeah, I mean, Trickett is a sicko. Did you see that insane bluff he made at the Triton poker thing? Where he...
I heard about it. I didn't watch the hands, but everyone was just like, he is insane.
Yeah, it was just a mad bluff. So this is the one thing that's on my mind going into this hand right now. Yeah, he's able to go for a mad bluff. Alright, so we have a hijack open. Kind of call.
Yep, Paul Newey raises the threes.
Wait, should I give my opinion on strategy pre-flop as well?
Yeah, sure.
Because I'm squeezing the ace-queen off out of the small blind.
Oh, yeah. Ace-queen very strong. I mean, I would as well, but we go to a flop anyways.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you're on the... There's a straddle as well with the ace for suited under gun, it seems. Yeah.
Right, okay, Sam Trickett in the cutoff of sevens. Overpair here, vulnerable. You betting? I'm betting.
Sure. Yeah, it's fine.
Because you wanna... You have some value to get from your hand, but there's just like so many bad turns and rivers as well that like sevens really benefit from protection. Whereas if you're gonna check a pair here, you're more likely to check like aces or kings. Well, maybe not aces or kings, but like even queens or jacks than you would, sevens or eights. Like you bet those vulnerable pairs. Am I right in that assumption?
Sure. generally when you have a board where you want to check some of your pocket pairs, we always do more checking with aces, kings, and then obviously the most betting with like 8s or 9s. So everybody calls. I mean, ace 4 as a gut shot, back to flush draw seems good enough to go. Oh shit, okay.
Oh my god. I haven't seen this hand. They sent me this hand.
It's sick that Paul doesn't like raise the flop. I mean, calling is fine, but it's already a bit surprising, yeah, I would say.
You made the final in
10,000.
I mean, so far this just seems like a big cooler. You see the double barrel for 80%.
I'm really curious as to what's going on right now. Party Poker, did you just send me like a live cooler?
But look how deep they are. They're incredibly deep. They're 200k pounds deep. What is this game? Damn.
Trickett Invitational.
Yeah, must be nice.
Let's probably put some context on the screen here. Editor, can we please get some context for the game? I'm not sure in real time.
This is a mad game. He's sitting here with 200k pounds. Just calls again. This is insane. Like, I would either raise flop or turn. Pretty often with the 3s.
6 on the end. So pretty interesting here for Paul Newey.
Check calls twice.
It's just surprising. Like Luke's a big poker fanboy. It's okay. I guess you got to get into it somehow. No?
Sam Trickett here, I assume, just goes for the bomb, goes for something big, right? Do you have any thoughts for sizing, or are you just like, we got a good hand, load up and fire away?
I'll probably just go like a sizing that gets called by a 6. Because that's what I would put Paul Newey on mostly. I mean, he might have a hand like ace 4 of diamonds or so, but I think he quite often has like 6-5 suited, 6-4 suited, ace 6, maybe a king 6 suited. So I would just, yeah, he goes for big. Wait, Paul Newey donks now?
Leads. Paul Newey leads, 27.5.
Pot lead on the river.
So,
honestly, this might not even be that bad because if you like, I don't think Trickett double bear bluffs heaps there, and if he's bluffing it, he probably doesn't follow through much on a 6 river.
yeah. He probably doesn't bet a 6 on 2 streets either, right? Not that he has many, but like, let's say he has, well, ace 6 suited, for example.
I mean, like if he had ace 6 of diamonds, maybe, or like if he had 6-5, like semi bluffing it. But I think it's just very unlikely he would bluff this river. So he's just donking to get heroed by like pocket 9s, you know, that may puts him on ace 4 or something. I could see that happen. But it's obviously insane to go for such a big donk bet there.
Yeah. I can see now, seeing the full lineup. I know it's definitely a cash game too. When you look at these stacks as well.
Yeah, it's mad.
Because I played with the gentleman beside Trickett in a 25-50 cash game before.
Oof.
Got to my biggest cash game loss ever. Lost 11k in that game.
Which currency?
Euro. 11,000 euro. Yeah.
Okay, it's right in the middle. I
Yeah.
was hoping for US. At least it wasn't pounds. We're okay. So I guess we see an all in here. I mean, this is so deep. It's crazy.
Well, okay, so Sam raises
Oh, 108k.
108,000. Paul Newey, like immediately you can see his reaction. It's not an all-in reaction, which thankfully, you know, I know some people that would definitely think about shoving here. I'm glad that he's not thinking about shoving because you have a bluff catcher, right?
Yeah. Honestly, like, I am considering, like, he might fold. It's not, I mean, Trickett has 6s, 7s, and 6-7 suited.
And
Like, what would he, when you pot lead there?
probably not twos. Yeah.
I'm not sure,
But I
honestly.
mean, we're talking about Paul Newey here too, and like I'm sure the guy's really smart, but he's not a professional poker player. Like it's pretty incredible if he finds a fold.
Yeah, that
I
would be
would-
sick.
I would.
He also,
I'm
yeah,
way too much of a fish.
I mean, he has to call 80k to win 170k as well, so he only has to be right like 25% of the time. So we have to give
80,
him like
160.
It's
About
one-
like 30%, 30% to break even.
yeah, something like that. So he has like, he loses to one combination of 6s, 3 combinations of 7s, and
6-7 suited.
yeah, 1 combination. So 5 combinations of that, and I think we can expect deuces to raise, probably. Which would be like 3 combinations. And there might be bluffs, which I don't really see, but maybe he bluffs like pocket 5s that he bluffed with. I don't know. What would he even bluff here? Like I don't really see it.
You know what? Another factor here is the way that Paul Newey played the hand. He check called on the flop 4 ways. He check called on the turn, and then he leads on the river, which I think creates more possibility for Sam to bluff.
Yeah, that's
Right?
a very good point.
this is sick.
With that premise, realizing that you are expected to check raise your set on the flop or turn, or even like your turn to pair, you might check raise.
Yeah.
I would always pay it off, yeah. Now that we talked, yeah. Call. I mean, it's 80k into 170k. As I said, not that much value out there. Might have worse and might have a bluff.
This is sick.
I'm paying
Is
it
he gonna
off.
fold, man?
That would be an insane fold. This is always the thing I say.
It's table demeanor here.
He just doesn't
He looks
care.
disinterested.
How do you... Just so sick. Look at him. He's just so bored. He's like... Yeah. Make your decision already. Man, this is... I think... I'm not sure. Did they just send you like a cooler? I feel like he's gonna fold because we are looking at this hand. You know, I feel like if he would call, it would just not
It's
be as
definitely
sick.
the favorite
You
at
know,
this point, yeah.
this is a live read I'm going for. Man, that's a mad fold to make. But this is always what I say as well. People just assume, or like quite often I feel, if somebody's a recreational, not a professional poker player, there's like this take because they maybe play a hand weirdly or dumb. They're also dumb. But these people are super smart. They're often way smarter. It's just that we've played like so many more hands than them. We have so much more experience, and we have all these people that we share strategy with and get information from. But these people are like sickos. Like someone like Paul Newey. Okay, I don't know much about him. Like I don't know what he does for a living or whatever. But I'm just saying, like sometimes they take unorthodox lines and weird stuff, but they have good game sense and they pay attention to stuff. You know.
Great decision makers. Yeah, I think it's.
What is that
typically very
image
much
right
the
now?
opposite. Sorry?
Yeah, I just saw this image. Like, look at all the stuff that's on the table. It's so messy. What is going on? Like, this is the sickest. What is this action in this cash game?
You know,
Man.
it's a big game when the dinner plates come out.
Yeah, but like, what is my stack here? You know, it's like, okay, I have 5 of the orange blocks and a bit of yellow up here. Mad. I wouldn't even know how to sit there. You know, I'm already struggling when I have like 2 stacks that are more than like 10 each and a WSOP event. You know, I'm like, okay, how do I organize this?
What's the
But to
next
play cash
shape
games.
for money? You know, we've got chips, we've got plaques. What's the next thing?
I had a weird thing. I was deep in a tournament and they, like with the 13 left at the Planet Hollywood, or like 18 left, they gave us chips that were just bigger than the rest, but like much bigger. They were like
I've had those
this
before.
size or something. And you're like, this is so awkward. Like you just toss one of them in. It was so strange because like you could shuffle them a bit as well. They were just this size, but it was so strange. I don't know. It looked so weird. I didn't know where to put them at all. So yeah, big chips are a thing.
You know what it's got to be, dude? It's got to be bowls. Chips, it's got to be bowls, dude.
That would be so impractical. I think he folded. Sick. Yeah, he did fold. Damn.
That I wouldn't fold. I lose the money there. I
lose the money
lose-
too.
But you know that would have been.
I lose way more money than Paul Newey does.
£30,000.
I
Wow,
check
that's
raise.
an incredible fold, man.
I check raise flop, then I bet the turn, and then I jam the river, and then I get the bad news and lose £200,000.
Yeah, I mean what I really like about it too, because I think people will jump to conclusions of scared money in that spot, and I can tell you that's not scared money.
No.
That's deliberate decision making.
Yeah.
And that's just an elite decision, you know?
Yeah.
Like for me, if I fold there, you could criticize me and be like, "Oh, you're scared money, you folded." But not him. Like he made that decision based on logic, which is incredible.
Yeah, I'm not sure what he based it on, honestly. Like the logic that I have, I'm like, call. But you know, he was
He
right.
had to read. There you go. I mean,
Yeah,
I think
maybe he had
it's
to
good
read.
to touch on that idea of, you know, I really feel like there's a culture in poker where there's like a pedestal, you know, like I think poker players often put themselves in a spot where they think they're just super superior decision makers and like intellect, and I feel like the poker community thinks their IQ is like 30 points higher than the average, you know. And I think it's BS, dude. I look at these business guys and I'm like, they're way smarter than us, dude.
Yeah.
They've crushed, you know, like we're trying to take advantage of them playing a game for fun. Like, you know, I don't know. I
met a guy in Macau, and he's like just the sickest person I've ever met. He is a recreational in the poker games, but he still plays pretty well, and he has constantly good results. Like he played the 25K during W Coupe, cashed it again, or like final table last year. This time he cashed it, I think. And he's just very, very smart. Like he's a sicko at Go as well, the Chinese game.
Right.
And he's just one of these people, like you talk to him and just was such a genius and such a cool guy to hang out with for like, we've had lunch once. But yeah, that's what I mean. Like he obviously plays super weird when you play against him, like instant, oh, he's recreational, but he's still so smart about it. He actually isn't a huge loser at all. Like he's just a small loser in these high stakes games, which is insane, you know?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I have a theory, and you know, I've had a talk with Finton on social media about this, with Doug Polk the other day when I had a conversation with him on my channel as well. And they both sort of came at it from an angle of, I don't think everyone can play this game for a living, you know, like almost like we're sort of unique or special in a way. And I would agree to some extent. I don't think everyone out there can play professional poker for a living, but I think the biggest factor for becoming a poker professional is time. The time you input. And I think if you look to correlate one aspect of who is successful in poker, everyone had the time required to put in work and days and hours and months of time into getting better. Whereas if you have a career and you have a family and you can play for 6 hours on the weekend, I don't think it matters how smart you are. You're at a huge disadvantage to those of us that were 19, 20, had our whole life in front of us and no responsibilities. So I think the factor is time. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely true. I think it comes down to a lot of things. Like for me personally, I've been pretty privileged. You know, my parents gave me freedom. So I was like, okay, they even allowed me to move in back home for a while while I was starting out, you know, so I saved money on rent, you know. If they said, hey, we don't support you, then I would have to pay, I don't know, $500 a month on an apartment, you know. So there's definitely a lot of privilege, which is like time as well in a certain case, right? That, I mean, we all started young and had the time to crush and didn't care that much if it gone wrong. We would have done something else. So yeah, for sure.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I think I saw only parts of that conversation, but it was also about how much money you make in a year. And I thought like the sums that people talked about, they were just way off. I mean, if you make 50K a year, that's so much money, you know, even if you live in Europe. But
yeah, I thought that was bizarre. Like the disconnect for me is that people assume that after poker, it's like over. It's just like, okay, you have this body of work and now you can't correlate those skills into anything else, which I just don't find to be true. You know, I think you can have a passion and pursue it fully and be okay at it and then pivot into something else, you know, and that's not the end of the world.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's definitely tougher to start out when you're like 30, you know. The older you get, the less likely it is that you get a new job, right? That doesn't mean it's impossible. It just means it's tougher, right? So you have to adapt again. But yeah, I mean, if you're hardworking and you go for good education, you can always do that, you know. So,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's very cultural too. Like it's one of those conversations I knew going in that this is great clickbait because just like everyone's gonna have such strong opinions, and it's gonna be so based on the culture they grew up in. And I knew in Europe, like Doug Polk's argument of you need to make 100,000 a year or else it's not worth your time is kind of ridiculous. And in the Bay, you know, in California, in the USA, I think that's sort of sound logic for the majority of people that live in, you know, a privileged area of California. So just one of those things, isn't it? It's
I mean, for me, I'm not much of a spender at all. I just save all my money. I like having the freedom, you know. I just want to collect a bunch of money so I'm free. And if I ever don't want to do poker anymore, which I don't really see happening right now, but you know, you don't know what happens in 5 to 10 years or so. I just like having the freedom to live pretty cheaply and just enjoy or do whatever I want, you know. But you don't really need that much. It's insane how cheap you can live in Europe even. And, you know, if you ever go to, I know, South America or Asia, so much cheap places to live as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I used to always measure how many months I could go without working. So like I would try and build up months. Like I've got 8 months of runway if I decide to just do nothing. That was always really motivating to me. So in that vein, what is the most degen sort of materialistic thing that you spring for in life?
A
Like,
house?
for me, it's business class flights. Like I have dropped, you know, like 2,500 on a flight. That's 10 hours just because I want to sleep.
Okay.
What is it for you?
I'm a massive nit. Honestly, like the money I spend on is friends. So while I was living in New Zealand, I, you know, flew my brother out to visit me so we can go road tripping. And so I paid for that trip, and a friend came over as well, and I just paid for the entire trip. I was like, hey guys, I had a good year. This is on me. So it's like the only thing I think I spent too much money on, but because I've really enjoyed it. Like I love my family and I love my friends, and I've been always on the road, so I don't have that much time to connect with them. But when I get the chance to, I just really like to spend that time and, like, you know, good quality time.
Yeah.
But for me personally, I mean, it's a nice meal every now and then. I don't really care how much that costs, but honestly, I have.
Are you into the
nothing
tasting
really.
menus like 10 course? You know.
Yeah, I was at the table in Edinburgh 3 weeks ago. It's just like 7-course tasting. Was amazing. Was very interesting as well. Lots of, just like, it was all like locally done as well, and super like interesting different interpretations. But like for me, it's very different. I like trying new things, and especially when it comes to food, I like all the different stuff that exists. But I know a good old €3.30 kebab around the corner every now and then I get in as well. You know, for me, it's just I need the broadness. You know, all the different stuff.
Yeah, of course, man. I feel like a lot of poker players are into that. I've done Lex a little bit. When we lived close together, we would go to like tastings, and we did like a wine tour one day and stuff. I remember old photos of Durr going for like tastings. I don't know, it was some old 2+2 thread where him and I think it was Roble went up into the mountains to like this closing down restaurant or something. I don't know what the correlation is, but there is one, you know. There is one.
Yeah. I know, I think it's very interesting. I like when people, I genuinely like it a lot when there's people that have a certain profession that they're really excited about it, but you personally don't fully understand or grasp the complexity of the thing, you know. If I tell a normal person about what I do in poker, they obviously don't really get what's going on, right? I can only show them that much. They understand money, but that's most of it. And I think that's the same for me often when I talk to somebody else that has like this profession that they're really excited about, like a guy at a restaurant, you know, that does his own food, and he can talk so much about it and about the ideas behind. And I think it's super fascinating, even though I don't fully get the work that goes in. And I'm not somebody that has like a very defined taste that is able to say, oh, this hint of lemon is amazing here, right? But I just kind of appreciate it when people do things like that, and that's what I find exciting about it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Like that, when you have passion and then expertise, and you combine those two things, like I could listen to someone talk about weaving baskets for hours if they love it, you know, and they're passionate about it. It's amazing, dude.
Yeah, I'm 100% like that. I love that.
Yeah,
it's nice.
Cool, man. Well, we hit a lot. It was really good to talk to you, man. Where can people find your stuff? Plug away, dude.
Okay, nice.
Twitch.
Get it in, yeah. I think Twitch is probably the best place, twitch.tv/Buehlero, Buehlero. And probably Instagram, you know, do some Instagram stories behind the scenes, keep people up to date when I'm playing live tournaments.
Nice.
Or, you know, when I'm grinding off stream, sometimes I give a few sweat opportunities when I'm sick.
Right, yeah.
But
or people can just slide into the DMs. Are you single right now, Buehlero?
Yeah.
You single? All right, slide into the DMs. That's an open invite.
Getting
That's
all the
good.
connections here. Perfect.
How about YouTube? Are you on YouTube at all occasionally?
Yeah. Actually, we're doing videos again twice a week. Just highlight videos of best moments on the stream.
Great.
Actually, it's just me like run final tabling events, and every now and then when I'm downswinging, we go on the break with the YouTube highlights. But then they come back when the upswing is there, and I'm currently on an upswing, so good time to check it out.
Good. Okay. Well, that's great. So check them out, everyone. Thanks so much for taking the time, dude, coming on. I think it was a good conversation, and we'll follow up again at some point in the future. So
yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me.
Once again, a big thanks to Henri for coming on and having that conversation. I really had a great time talking with him, and I'm just loving doing this podcast. It's so much fun. I get to talk with really interesting people and learn from them, and it's not something I made enough time for in my life previously before I started doing this. So hopefully you guys feel the same and you enjoy the conversations that we've been having. So we have Hero of the Week, which, of course, we need to give away another tournament ticket. First, let's recap the results of last week. So Go 105 finished 164th out of 993, so very close to the money. We're DMing a little bit on Twitter this week. GG, my friend. Close call. Good run, but fell a little bit short. He did get a $79 bounty at least, so some money from nothing. Pretty decent. You'll take that, and hopefully you enjoyed the experience. So this week we had a competition to see who could do the best pumpkin. Okay, and there was a lot of great entries. I was checking these out. It was really good. I got to give it to Elf Wizard, man. Elf Wizard, who has been entering our contest religiously. I mean, there was some great physical pumpkins, but I liked the digital spin on things, my friend. That's something I would do. I respect it. I like how you went for that angle, and I really like that you've been participating in all these contests. So, Elf Wizard, you get a $320 Gladiator ticket. Congratulations, my friend. You are playing this Sunday and represent us well. Hashtag JSPokerHero. Take it down for us, man. I don't think we've had a cash yet. I'm pretty sure we don't have any hero caches yet. This week is the week, dude. No pressure, but I'm just saying. Okay? Good luck. Now, next week, we're going to change up the contest a little bit. The 320 Gladiator is normally the feature event, right? The big one. But we have something pretty special going on. We have the $1 million event, the $1 million guarantee, $215 buy-in. So instead of the 320 ticket, we're going to give away a $1 million ticket this week. Now, the guessing competition is going to be, because when you guys, when we get next week's show, it's going to be after flight 1, day 1 of that $1 million event. So how many entries in day 1A of the Party Poker Million event? Closest to, I'll let you go over, just closest to is going to win a $215 ticket and play in that million event the following Sunday. So best of luck, everyone. Use the hashtag JSPokerHero on Twitter, hashtag JSPokerHero, and that will enter you. You can also tweet me as well and check me out and follow me. One more thing before I wrap up the show here. We have been listening to your feedback as well in regards to some of you wanting this on audio format. I know, like watching on YouTube, if you turn off your phone, it turns off the audio. That's very annoying. So we are working on getting it on audio listings so that you'll be able to just listen on like Spotify and iTunes and all that. So working on that now. Thank you very much for your feedback. If you have any more, please pass it along to me or the Party Poker team. That would be very much appreciated. That's going to be it for the show this week, everyone. Thank you so much for watching/listening. I had a great time, and I can't wait to do it again next week. Until then, we'll see you later.